Hi, and welcome to Are We Functioning Highly?
Are we?
Are we? That's the question. This is the first episode of our podcast. My name is Vita Hendeson-chan.
My name's Mui Thomas.
And Mui, would you like to let the viewers out there know what our podcast is about?
So our podcast is sort of like a little conversation about growing up with a disability, both invisible and visible. And we're just kind of a bit of fun with it, but at the same time also educate.
It's all about open discussions. We are both also neurominorities. So we want to just let people know it's okay to be your authentic self.
We're very normal.
Are we?
Are we?
So let's have a little bit of an explanation on our two different physical conditions. This episode is focused on the physical conditions that we experience, and our next episode will be focused on our identities as neurominorities. So you are diagnosed with Harlequin Ichthyosis.
You got it right.
I did get that right. We spent
impressed.
so much time practicing how to say that right, because I was going to say it differently. But maybe you could let the gang know.
The gang. As you can see, I look a little bit different to many people. So Harlequin Ichthyosis, it's a very rare genetic skin disorder. There are very few people in the world with it. I'm the only one in Hong Kong. I am the fourth oldest in the world, which I'm quite sort of happy about.
Woo!
Woo! But you know what? Beside that, I am a yoga instructor. I'm a carer, special needs carer, which I think is really nice. I'm also a rugby referee, and I am 1/3 of an initiative that I run with my parents. It's called The Girl Behind the Face. It's about standing up for others. But enough about me. What about you? What do you do?
So my name is Vita Hendeson-chan, and I have a condition called Ehlers Danlos Syndrome, which is supposedly rare, but it's actually not that rare. The Ehlers Danlos syndromes are a group of inherited conditions that affect the connective tissue, and the connective tissues support skin, tendons, ligaments, blood vessels, and internal organs and bones. So people with EDS have an increased range of joint movement. We have stretchy skin that's very fragile, that bruises easily, and can have all kinds of multi-systemic issues, from easy bleeding and bruising to joint dislocations to issues with digesting food, to tiredness and dizziness, and anything with your internal organs can there's lots of different things
Anything that could happen could happen.
Anything
basically.
that happened could happen. The funniest one was, which I didn't realize was anything to do with EDS, is that my teeth move really quickly.
Say what?
Yeah, when I was getting my Invisalign braces, my teeth were moving so quickly.
How did you find Invisalign braces? I had them when I was 18.
They were my teeth. I literally fixed my teeth from being moderate to severe crowding within 3 months of just smashing through the braces because my teeth move so fast.
Damn, it took me 2 years.
Yeah.
And I'm still wearing the retainer when I remember to.
Yeah. Well, this is the problem. So because my teeth move so quickly, they move so quickly out. So I have to make sure I have that retainer every night. We all know what that's like.
Yes.
But yeah, so that's my condition. About me, I am a multidisciplinary artist. I am a musician, a digital artist, a Web3 enthusiast. I was running my own creative production company for the last 4.5, coming up to 5 years. We did all kinds of video content and digital experiences for brands and visual identity creation. And now I'm kind of following in your footsteps, as your good friend that encouraged me to get out there and speak more and help people with my story, to do some advocacy for my different conditions that I have, but also being your authentic self and saying what's going on and trying to help other people.
Yeah, and I think that being authentic, it's not easy. It's not easy laying bare your vulnerabilities, I think. And so we are sort of following in the footsteps of people who've done it, because they've all proved that it's possible to go out there, inspire, and make a mark, and we want to do the same, I think.
The next generation of people trying to speak honestly and hoping for the best.
Basically.
Yeah. So I think it would be a good point to kind of talk a little bit more in detail about EDS and Harlequin Ichthyosis. Said it right again.
I think we need to have a tally every time they get it right, because this Harlequin Ichthyosis is such a complicated.
We could get a
word.
sound effect. I'll do that in the editing, like cooking. Every time you say Ehlers Danlos Syndrome, right? I'll also do a cooking.
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's do that. I'll do that in the editing later. So let's talk a little bit more in detail about what it is like to have EDS and to have Harlequin Ichthyosis. Do you want to start off, or should I start off?
I'll start off. So Harlequin Ichthyosis it's a genetic skin disorder where essentially, to the naked eye, our skin grows too fast.
Okay.
So to sort of give you an idea, for some normal person, I quote unquote normal, you don't tend to see skin flakes very often. It takes, from what I understand, roughly 2 weeks for scales to appear on one's skin.
Okay.
Whereas for me, it happens overnight, if not less.
Wow.
So as you can see, I'm a little sheddy today, but I looked brilliant this morning. But
You look brilliant now, darling.
thank you. So essentially on the outside, my skin grows too fast.
Okay.
But because our skin is our largest organ, which I'm sure you know as well, our inside body is also affected. So I am unable to sweat properly. That's not to say that I don't sweat. It's just that because there are so many layers of skin growing over the sweat glands, it's just impossible to let
the sweat out.
So somebody coined a really funny but really awkward phrase where when somebody is sweating, we are combusting.
Okay.
Because we're overheating so much.
Yeah.
But that is in a Hong Kong summer, which sometimes I question why I live in Hong Kong in the summer, but there we go. I mean, it is possible, things have been done. But also, because of that, I also get cold very easily as well.
Okay.
So when everyone is in the aircon and, they don't have too much of an issue with their temperature control, I am like up and down, and it can be an absolute nightmare sometimes. Like, I used to have teachers who would literally be like, dude, it's like 35 degrees, why are you wearing a jumper in the classroom? And I was like, because the aircon was just cold. It was such a drop. So this weather, like even this studio right now, is perfect for me, to be honest.
We love a good perfect condition in the studio.
I know, I love the condition in the studio. But yeah, I mean, Harlequin Ichthyosis, it is rare.
Okay.
And
So how many?
how many types?
How many? Not types. Like, what's the frequency of Harlequin Ichthyosis? Because I know for my type of hypermobile EDS, they used to say it's 1 in 5,000, but now they think it could be 1 in 500. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Okay,
So we had a big change, but I know you are much more rare than I am.
So to give you a little bit of an idea, so Harlequin Ichthyosis is a subgroup of a whole conditions called ichthyosis. I kind of joke that it's a bit like Heinz 57 varieties, and
So similar to EDS, they refer to it as the Ehlers Danlos syndromes, because
But
there's like 14.
so many.
There's 14 or 15. Like there was 13, then they discovered a new one. But even with hypermobile EDS, they think it could be like multiple conditions because they can't find the genetic marker.
Yeah.
Well, they have found it, but it's, I don't know. I'm not an EDS researcher. I just have it.
No, so with Harlequin Ichthyosis, so there are a whole bunch of conditions called ichthyosis. They are all ranging from severity, but a lot of them look quite similar, but they're not.
Okay.
So Harlequin, which is what I've got, is the rarest of the lot. So I really hit the jackpot here.
We should get you doing the lottery as well.
I know. So I really hit the jackpot there. So as far as I know, I am the only one in Hong Kong. I could be wrong, because as far as I know, there are roughly 20 in the world.
Wow. Okay.
As we speak. But that being
Whoa.
said, there could be more. They're just not being reported because I firmly believe it's still a bit of a taboo, disclosing, it takes a lot to come out and say my kid has a skin disorder or my kid has a disability, and I think it's, for parents, it must be hard. So like there could be more.
Okay.
There could be more, but as far as I know, there are only 20 in the world. A lot of them are in the US. A few of them are in the UK.
Okay.
But they're all scattered, which is nice. And we are in contact. We are actually in contact.
Okay, wow. So with only 20 people in the entire world that have this, well,
give or take.
Roughly, give or take.
Give or take, yeah.
That must be very, very difficult to get medical advice and support on what you should be doing, because I guess especially if you're the fourth oldest person to have the condition, it's kind of, you've got to have that community of people asking, hey, what works, because it's like there's just really not the experience.
So growing up in Hong Kong, I mean, and this is in no way, bashing the public health system. Prince of Wales is great, just saying.
Shout out to Queen Mary.
This is the thing. So because Harlequin and Ichthyosis is quite rare, a lot of it in this day and age is about trial by error. And a lot of the time, it's not about finding a cure. For something like ichthyosis, it's not about finding a cure. It's about how to make life comfortable.
Yeah. It's a similar situation for EDS.
Yeah.
When I was in the diagnostic, the process of diagnosis, I was told there isn't a cure for this. You just have to find out what is the best way to make your life livable.
How did you find that when you were told about, when you were told you've got something but there ain't no cure, like?
I think this is the thing, and this is a big difference between the visible and invisible illnesses. Is it was assumed for a very long time that I was maybe just over-exaggerating about things. It wasn't until I had an x-ray, which was when I was 24, and they could physically see how out of place my body was. And it was amazing getting this x-ray back, because it was like, I was saying this hurts and this hurts and this hurts, and people were like,
and they were just like, yeah.
And it's like, well, no, actually, like several core joints in my body have partially dislocated, and I'm just being
was it like
off.
I am genuinely curious, like, were there things
X-rays
that were like,
there were things there was my pelvis was literally like at an angle. It wasn't at a 45-degree angle, but you could tell that it was jolted out. My spine had scoliosis, so it had a double curve.
Was it
so
like
one
a
was
S?
like, I think it was an S curve, so I think one was like 18 degrees and one was like 25 degrees, so it wasn't like mild, wasn't like very,
it was like,
it was
deep in the depths,
pretty moderate. It wasn't like extreme,
Yeah.
but it was pretty moderate. My ribs were all out of place, my shoulders were, one was like really off to the side, the other one was coming out. My knee, which was the one we were x-raying for, it was a chiropractor who did the x-rays, and he was just generally a bit concerned. He was like, I want to do a full body, because I'd seen...
Have you done a DEXA scan, by the way?
I don't know what a DEXA scan is.
So it's a full body bone density scan.
Okay.
And basically that measures all your body minerals and, the strength of your bones. You should get that done.
I feel like I have pretty strong bones.
Yeah.
That's like, they're very light, but they're very strong. I've never that's light. I broke my nose. But like,
I'd love to know how they did that. I'm just saying.
We're not allowed to tell that story.
Oh, is it illegal?
No, it involves a window and Leonardo DiCaprio.
I will find that out.
I'll find it out for next time.
I'd love to know. Stay tuned, everyone.
Stay tuned. No, so anyway, going back to the
EDS,
X-rays
the
and
X-rays,
EDS, I had so many different issues growing up. But the really big ones were all to do with bleeding. Like, I would have like hour-long nosebleeds. There was a point when I was growing up where I'd have nosebleeds every single night. It just like be covered in blood. I'd have mouth bleeds, like just my entire body would be covered in really bad bruising. When I started my period, my first period was 6 weeks long.
Oh, it must have just gone boom.
6 weeks.
No way.
6 weeks.
And that's not normal.
That's
Like, that
not
is-
normal
no.
for people who don't have the mechanical parts.
Yeah, that's not normal.
6 weeks.
Then maybe I shouldn't say that my periods are like probably
Don't.
2 days.
No,
3 days.
I had to be on medication from when I was really, really young to like
Clot
clot the bleeding. Yeah,
Yeah.
tranexamic acid, and then it was,
Sounds
and then I had to do
terrifying.
like hormonal birth control from a really young age, just because it was so unbelievably bad. And it's still pretty bad, but less bad because I have I'm on medication for it. I had all these pains, and even when I was like in school, I was wearing the braces and like at my wrist. I'm a pianist, like classically trained pianist, and I was practicing like 4 or 5 hours a day, and my wrist would just make these clicking noises. So I got like a little brace that held my wrist in place, and that probably should have been a sign.
Did you ever do what I used to do, which was absolutely terrible, and I'm sure you guys have done it as well? Did you guys used to click your knuckles?
No.
I used to do that, and
But
absolutely...
you've seen me squish my knuckles
Yeah.
and like my whole hand just folds in.
Yeah.
So when people grab my hands just like fold in.
Yeah.
Like you can feel my knuckles going
Oh,
under each
God.
other. It's pretty gross.
Moving swiftly on.
Moving swiftly on. But yeah, so I didn't get diagnosed with EDS until I was 24 years old.
Yeah, okay.
Which is
But was it
different
a
because you were
relief?
diagnosed.
Was it a relief, though, for you when you got that diagnosis, that you knew that you were told, yes, there is an answer to...
It's like, congratulations, you have some of an answer, but also
Yeah.
there's no cure.
Yeah.
And that also the fallacy with EDS is it's really, really rare. So, I've only ever seen one person with this condition before. And I remember when it was at the doctor's and I was just really annoyed. So I was like, statistically, you are wrong. There's actually thousands of people with this condition in Hong Kong. You have not been able to diagnose it because I'm such an obvious case that by the time I went to see a specialist diagnosed me within 10 minutes we did the Baton score, we went through a checklist and said, okay, we need to do a genetic panel to rule out the other different kinds of EDS, but if you don't have one of the other different kinds of EDS, then you have hypermobile EDS. It was that simple. And I was such an obvious case.
Yeah.
So obvious.
Yeah.
And diagnosed me on the spot within 2 minutes with a hypermobile spectrum disorder.
Yeah.
On the spot. And that was the most frustrating thing, was if you know what you're looking for, you can see it really, really, really easily.
Yeah.
But I was so upset because I'd said, if I'm such an obvious case that someone who has seen this condition a few times before or read about it before can diagnose me within 2 minutes as having hypermobile spectrum disorder, a hypermobile spectrum disorder, and within 10 minutes say, yeah, it looks like EDS, why were you not doing that when I first came in with problems, when I first started having bleeding and bruising issues? Would you not
put two and two together?
Are you hypermobile? That would have been a really easy question to answer.
Yeah.
But now I'm trying to speak more openly about EDS, and when I hear someone's having some kind of joint issue, or especially like obviously I'm autistic and have ADHD, EDS is
Same here.
I can't remember, it's 7 or 8 times more likely to be found in an assigned female at birth autistic person.
Really?
Yeah, it's very, very common. So Noelle, who we met fairly recently, has EDS. Autism
really? I
and
didn't realize.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I think in some ways, and I don't mean this in a derogatory way, I think, disregarding the EDS for this one thing, I think that things like autism and, ADHD, I think it's probably more prevalent now in the sense that people are speaking out about it and not necessarily in a negative light. Because I'll tell you a story later on about how I came to know that I had traits of it. Because for me, it was a totally different experience.
So my personal view is if you have autism or ADHD as part of the diagnostic process, there should just be a check for joint hypermobility. Because if usually autism is picked up in boys, picked up very, very young. In girls, I know that the age
it's a little bit
more difficult, but there are also, girls. There are all kinds of people who get diagnosed at all kinds of ages, but children typically get diagnosed. And I personally feel that if I had been checked for joint hypermobility when I was first diagnosed with autism, which was when I was 11 years old, it would have saved a lot of pain. It would have saved a lot of hassle, a lot of problems.
I feel the same.
You know what you're getting into. So I think that's the big thing.
I think for me, being diagnosed with what I've got now, well into adulthood.
So you were diagnosed with Harlequin Ichthyosis in that? I thought that was when you were a child.
Harlequin at birth, not even at birth, in the womb.
In the womb, okay.
Sort of, ish. Like, depends how much technology was in 92, but there we go, Shall I talk about how I dealt with Harlequin Ichthyosis growing up?
Yeah, that would be great.
So I have always known that I looked different. I mean, it's pretty blatantly obvious. I think for me, my parents did such a great job of making sure that even though I had all of these things stacked against me, because not only did I have a skin disorder, I had precarious health as well. It might shock you to know that there was this one time where, when I was much younger, where I had fevers nearly every night, if not maybe several times a week. And I don't remember this, so take it all with a pinch of salt. But I would be in the hospital emergency room like more often than my parents would care to remember, to be honest with you.
Would that have something to do with the overheating and the body regulation, right?
If I'm not mistaken, I think it was at one point 10 times in a year in the pediatric hospital, pediatric ward. Because
then that's on top of all of the doctors. This is one thing with a chronic illness that people don't realize when you have a chronic illness is my life is just, I've got to go to this doctor and then to this doctor.
You got to do that.
You got to do this and you got to do this therapy.
Curious, how many doctors have you got?
Oh my God, too many. I'd have to check on my app.
Fair enough.
But like in terms of alternative therapy, like chiropractic, not alternative, but like holistic, chiropractor, physical therapist, personal trainer. I've just started doing the TRE, which I need to book. And then going
This is your reminder to book your TRE?
This is a reminder to book your TRE. And then obviously different therapy that's talking about some of the effects of the EDS, like mentally. And then I've got to see a cardiologist, a rheumatologist, an orthopedic surgeon, the person for your eyes, the ophthalmologist, and then the person for the digestive issues, and then I also get seen by the surgery ward, and then the general ward, and then the rehabilitation for walking, that's the one at Tongwa, and then there's a bunch of other different things, and then they have the occupational therapy, the David Trench, and then the one in the Macklehose, so it's a lot, and sometimes I'm just like, I'm not going.
And
then they tell me off. They're like, you should go. It's good for you. I don't want to go.
No, but I've been very lucky. I have been, touch wood, knock on wood, very, very lucky because I, by the, grace of some guy above, I have been very lucky that I don't have to see too many doctors. So I see a dermatologist for obvious reasons. I see the eye doctors because quite often the skin can affect the eyes, my ears, because again, skin can get into the ears, which is so annoying. And apparently my ears are too narrow for grommets.
What are grommets?
So grommets are like tiny little... I'm trying not to be weird here, but like they're tiny little...
Just try a bit harder then.
No, grommets are tiny little tools which are placed into the ear to sort of widen the ear canal to basically allow you to hear better.
Okay.
And anyway, I wasn't able to get them, but I can hear just fine. So those are the main ones that I have to have. I'm also very lucky that I have other healthcare. I have obviously a GP, which I think is which is wonderful. And obviously I've got mental health because obviously mental health is one of those things that unfortunately comes with, everyday life, but especially with, I think, chronic illnesses, where you really need someone to help you work through.
I think you have to have a daily practice of dealing with a chronic illness is having a daily practice of things that you do. Like I very recently, like very recently, I think 4 or 5 months ago, changed a lot about my life. Before I was really focusing more on my creative production business, like Prometheus. But just to be able to do the hours and the amount of work and the stress that I was under at work, it was like, okay, I'm making more money than I've ever made in my entire life, but my body is falling apart and I'm spending...
How healthy is that,
I'm
though?
not... It was so unhealthy. I literally was just like, I was the person that would bring my laptop to the hospital and people would be like, oh, you're watching TV. It's like, no, I'm doing work for clients, actually, because I'm a workaholic and I have a problem. And it's just like, there was like last year, so 2022, I was having my C1, C2. I had
that's spine, isn't it?
Yeah, misalignment. Yeah, so it's the atlantoaxial instability. But like it based my...
I'll Google this later.
The C1 and C2, basically, they shifted in opposite directions, and it was out by just, I think it was 0.4... So 4 millimeters, so not 0.4, 4 millimeters. Oof. So 0.4 centimeters.
Great.
Which was horrible. It was really horrible. And I had to have 2 MRIs. I then had to see a chiropractor. I had to do all this physiotherapy. And I spent like, I think 60 or 70,000 Hong Kong dollars in 1 month just on my neck. And I was just like, I have to keep working these ridiculous hours so I can afford these medical bills.
But
and
I think
it reaches the point where you're like, I actually can't do this.
And the thing is, like, I think in some ways, you and I both living in Hong Kong, you know, no shade to our friends in America or anything, but
oh God, like
we are so lucky that in Hong Kong we have that option to have pretty decent, let's be fair, pretty decent public healthcare. I mean, there are a few flaws, many flaws, but we get it.
Even with private healthcare, like explaining to my friends in the US that like I was like, oh yeah, my neck came out, it was expensive. I pay like I guess I mean, $8,000 US. It's like, wow, that's so cheap. It's like,
no, because I think, you know, having EDS or Harlequin Ichthyosis, it is, let's be fair, or having any illness, it's not cheap.
It is not cheap.
We are very lucky in Hong Kong to have both healthcare systems. Granted, you know, if you want your, what should we call it, alternative, or, you know, when we say our chiropractors or our, you know, I have an osteopath who is amazing, by the way.
This is the thing, when people say it's alternative, I think of the...
I think of voodoo and woo.
Yeah, no, actually the help I've got from chiropractors who've treated EDS before, and this is like, I have like 3 chiropractors. I've seen one great chiropractor in Hong Kong, but I had a chiropractor in New York who was amazing, who really helped me out, who identified something that was wrong with my body that hadn't been identified before. And, you know, my knees and my hips don't come out nearly as much as they used to because I now have insults. Yeah. Which, you know, Ben, he sees loads of EDS patients, and he's down and he's a really awesome guy. And I specifically went to his practice because I'd been seeing his content that he'd been putting out online. He's a really, really nice guy. And then I saw a chiropractor in South Africa, and I actually have a chiropractor in the UK as well. Yeah. So, you know, I would prefer, for me, because of the work that my chiropractor in Hong Kong did when I was in a really, really bad place.
It's much easier for them.
I'd been messed up by the traditional medical health system because they had not seen EDS before, and they were putting me on all kinds of drugs that made things worse. I got put on steroids, a really high dosage of steroids that basically destroyed the remaining connective tissue that I had. So when I was on the steroid, like, I say destroyed, that's me being poetic, but like
it wrecked you basically.
Yeah, when I was on the steroids, I felt great. When I got off the steroids, the rest of my body came out. Yeah. And I was really unwell. I couldn't eat food properly. I just was getting super sick. Yeah. And it was just like, you know, I spent from the point at which I got diagnosed, which was like mid 2020, to kind of the end of 2021. But actually, that's a lie. It was kind of the beginning of 2022. I had very mixed mobility, and it's only since really making proactive changes in my life, which really involved changing up my career and going, my job's great, I'm good at my job, I've got good things going on, but like I cannot work like this.
I actually remember when I met you for the first time at this event that we both had, which I just remember you were, I mean, even I can see, I mean, I've only known you for maybe a year, maybe 2 years now.
2 years now.
Yeah. I already see a big difference from when I met you 2 years ago. Because you were very sort of, if you don't mind me saying, like you were very, very flexible to the point where I was like, oh my God, like she can do all of this. And I recognize that you were definitely a workaholic. You were definitely trying to do all these things together, and and I think in a way your energy as well has changed as well, because you've definitely calmed down. Because I remember when I met you, you were like, you were just like,
high pressure job, high pressure clients. When you were like,
and you were like,
I was not like, I just had a lot of things going on. It's like, you have. I was one point, I remember I was really, really stressed out, and I was going through all these health things, and I had like 16 different clients requesting
on a day, in a day.
No, this is like clients that I'm working concurrently working on projects with, and you're trying to like say, okay, this person does this bit, this person does this, and also like having a team of people. We had some in-house, we had 3 in-house at this point, and then we had like multiple freelancers, and trying to manage all these people and trying to like do the work I need to do, and
trying
then
to keep it together.
Sometimes I'm the only person that can do this work, and then it's like, oh well, we've got other team members that could help out, but it's like, yeah, but they don't know how to do this specific thing. They've not been briefed, and it's just this like constant like rat race. And then your joints are coming out, so it's like, it's really,
like, I gotta go to the hospital.
Sorry guys, my neck's come out, I have to go to hospital, like, but it's okay. Just send me the email. I'll get back to it in the morning. Like
from my hospital bed.
From my hospital bed. But no, my team were really, really understanding and really nice. But there just comes a point where you realize that like
you don't want to take the piss either, do you?
I don't want to take the piss, but there was times like I had a bit of a breakdown in 2022 when all of the work stuff was struggling because of the COVID restrictions in Hong Kong. I just didn't talk to people for like a few weeks. I was just like, I just want to be alone.
Yeah.
And I realized that was kind of a point where I realized like it's not professional to do that with like your team and to put that amount of stress on yourself. But equally, like maybe if I can't even keep my joints in my body, I shouldn't be trying to manage a team of people.
What is that they say on airplanes? Help yourself before you help the passenger next to you.
It's not about like, I don't think it's about, I think there was lots of different situations. That is a really good point. Put your own safety belt on first.
Yeah.
But I think now, like coming into what I'm doing in my career at the moment, it's much more focused on.
I'm so proud of you, by the way.
I'm the only person I'm responsible for what I need to be doing. Does not affect the work life of a team.
What
of
everyone
other people.
else is doing.
What I'm doing is not going to hold up everybody else.
Yeah.
If someone's doing some work for me, they're doing something separate that can be done at any other time. Yeah. Because it's like my joints are going to. There's something that's going to go wrong. Like, what is going to happen?
Yeah.
And being really honest with people, just being like, I have these illnesses, I have this thing. And also working a lot less.
Yeah.
So nice. It's so nice. We actually get to like hang out. We had breakfast the other day on my rooftop. That was awesome.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And it was just I don't have to be climbing.
But I think, going back to when, when you just said, just having that time and just, having people understand your limitations. I think for me, for Harlequins, it's hard. It is genuinely hard for me because I, by nature, I'm a big go-getter. I don't like to let people down. I don't like to, I like to do stuff. I like to get out there, and I like to, seize the day. But there are times when I am reminded, maybe because of the heat, maybe because I'm too tired, because guess what, my body's used up so much energy for the day. I just don't have the energy to do anything else. But I have this I am not at that stage where you are at, where I'm okay with saying no and looking after myself, because I don't know about you, but I have this constant fear of missing out. Because if I say
FOMO.
no to FOMO, yeah. If I say no to something, I worry that if I say no to something, I'm not going to get another chance.
Yeah.
You know, or people are going to think, oh, well, she, as in me, is unreliable, so we're not going to, ask her to do whatever again.
And I think this is interesting because this kind of opens up the thing about the visible and invisible challenges. Is that I think I've seen, being your friend, I've seen people have this expectation that you must be really ill and you can't do certain things, and like, well, he's really ill, and it's like, no, she does a lot. And then people see me and it's like, well, how come you need to sit down on the bus? Like, you look fine.
Yeah, and I think...
And it's like...
And it's so wrong. It's so
really
wrong.
Annoying. People think I'm good at sports.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I do wear, like, athleisure. That song, like, activewear. I'm the one that's, like, having a cigarette, sitting down in my activewear. That's me. And you're the one who's, like, activewear, actually doing yoga in my activewear.
I think for me, it's not been easy. It's not been easy to get out there and be as active as I am, because... Guess what? I have crap days. I have days when, like, my skin hurts and I don't want to go out. Or I've not had a good sleep because my skin has been itching like hell all night. And I don't have the energy to go out and do stuff. But I still go out and do it because I have this weird obsession. I have this weird feeling that people expect something of me.
Yeah.
And I just don't understand why. And... I posted something online a while ago on a very well-known Facebook page that I think you and I both know. You can actually look it up after this. I asked if somebody like me, who looks different, asked for a seat on the MTR or on the train, would you get up? Because, I don't have crutches, I'm not pregnant, I'm an able-bodied person, but I'm sore. Like, would you get up? And it was a very interesting discussion because it was just such an interesting thing where, there were some people saying, just because you're on crutches doesn't mean we should give up our seat for you.
What?
Yeah. Well,
I got my phone stolen when I was on crutches.
No way.
I got my phone stolen by a taxi driver, and I managed to do the Find My iPhone thing and call.
Did you get it back?
No, he didn't. He stole it.
Arsehole.
And then I had to report it to the police, and I was in crutches, and there was this lovely... I was at a cafe, I'd ordered a coffee, and, like, couldn't pay for it because I had no wallet, no money, no anything. Freaked out, had to go to the police station, was on crutches, and the like... waiter at the cafe was so lovely. He felt so sorry for me. He gave me $200. He was like, don't worry about your coffee, just pass it on to someone else. And I was like, thank you God for humanity. What a lovely human being. And then I had my laptop in my bag, so I went to the police station, connected to the Wi-Fi, and was on Facebook messaging people being like, I'm at the police station, I'm about to have a meltdown, my leg is still dislocated, but my phone and my wallet is gone. Because I had one of those phone cases that I had all my cards in.
I can't do that. So I did that for a while. I did that whole phone case with cards in. Actually, I'm not judging because, I know people who have them and absolutely love them. I just cannot.
Well, okay, in defense, when you have EDS and you're on crutches, you don't want to be having in a bag with a million other different things. Yeah. I just want something that's in my pocket.
Why did you get one of those dangly chain, not chain things, lanyards?
Well, talking about lanyards, I don't have a dangly chain lanyard thing, but I do have an invisible illness lanyard, which is one of the best things when you're traveling a lot.
Is it the sunflower thing?
The sunflower one, yeah.
So I think, I've seen it. I think it's from the UK, isn't it?
From the UK. I got it in the UK, and it was great when I was traveling. Yeah. I go in all the lanes. People would come and help me carry my stuff. It was really nice. Yeah. I got to, it was awesome. But no. And that's talking about one of the proactive things that people can be doing.
I have a question about that, though.
Yeah.
you've got, you know what, because actually there is an organization in Hong Kong that has something similar.
The silver lanyards.
The silver lanyards.
Yeah.
And I think they're wonderful, absolutely. But I also think that obviously it's your choice to wear them or not wear them. But do you not feel a bit weird when, you know, they come up to you basically because you've got a lanyard?
No, I'd
be freaked out, to be
I
honest.
think it's a lot easier because it's much more awkward going, hey, I look like an able-bodied person, but I actually have a condition which makes my joints come out, so
And
I need you to
some
help.
Yeah.
If they, as soon as they see the lanyard, people just go, oh yeah, come this way, let's help you.
Yeah.
And it's so much easier because a conversation can be really awkward. I can get so in my head about asking someone for help, but if I'm wearing the lanyard and they see I've got the lanyard and they come up to me and they help me, it's like, I don't need to have a conversation. There's usually just people asking, oh, how can I help you? And I think that that's one of the things that, like, is difficult. Like, I've been traveling before, like, without the lanyard. The first time I was like, I'm gonna do my lanyard. I didn't have the lanyard, but I got given the lanyard after this. And my joints, oh my gosh, my joints. I was in, like, it took 2 days to recover from the soreness of how sore I was from lugging my bag everywhere. And I think this is it's all about being present within my own body and communicating and knowing my limits. Like,
see, I'm not at that stage because I think for me, I'm very, look, I mean, I get it. I've got a skin condition. I have limitations, but I'm terrible at really addressing what I really need because I quite often feel like I'm a burden to somebody. Because again, yes, I have a skin condition. Yes, I have limitations, but I'm still quite able-bodied. I can still walk. I can still carry stuff. I can still do all of this stuff. And sometimes for me, to admit that I'm struggling, to admit that I need help, it's a struggle.
This is why it's really important to remember with chronic illnesses that there's obviously the physical a chronic physical illness is that there's obviously the physical side, and we have a whole battle of what we need to be doing to support ourselves and get the right medical resources and team around the physical issues.
Yeah.
But I think a big component is also like
the
mental side.
Yeah.
Are you seeing a psychiatrist or a counselor or a therapist? Are you doing something like TRE? Are you doing something like yoga? Are you doing some kind of like mindfulness or meditation practice? Because fundamentally at the end of the day, you have to accept that your body is not going to do what it should do. You know, I just have to accept that other people can go dancing and not say something.
Yeah, and you'll be at home watching Netflix or something.
I mean, I'll go dancing, but I also have to go, okay, I moved, I've done a little bit of jiggy, whatever. I just said jiggy on camera. We're keeping that in.
Oh, well.
My money don't jiggle. It falls. But like I can't just run my battery dry. That's why today I was in bed. I woke up.
Did you just wake up to come here today?
Basically, no, I didn't. I just was like,
this is not happening.
Really packed. No, I just had I've had like been non-stop. We had art week, then we had Web3 week, then I had the TED talk, then I had the personal things that have been going on in my life that don't need to be discussed in a podcast. But so many different things going on, and it's just like it's non-stop. I just need a day where it's me in bed, reading a book, chilling out, not doing something extremely physical.
See, I'm terrible at that. Because
if I don't take that break and choose to have that day myself, my body will choose to have it for me, and it won't be in a nice, just watch some Netflix and eat some pizza.
No.
It's gonna be your neck will, my body will just break.
Yeah.
And I think like even if you don't have a chronic physical illness, it's still a good lesson to learn is like when things are just feeling like you're going from, there's a saying of like, we don't go from 0 to 100. We just stay at 99 for a really long time.
Yeah.
And then go to 100.
This, yeah.
And it's like, my body's doing that. So if I'm at 99 and I'm at 99, let's go down to like 70. Okay, how do I take myself down to 70? Okay, I'm down to 70. Okay, how do I take myself down to 50? Okay, cool. 50 is a good place to be.
And how do I go down? Yeah. I think, I don't know. I think for me, I'm maybe, I mean, this is my mindset, is that I constantly feel like I have to do stuff because I have the energy, because I have the ability to, because I'm 30. And I mean, I know that's not old in the grand scheme of things, but there are people who finish their sporting careers by the age of 30, for example. and I want to do as much as I possibly can and burn out later.
Yeah.
Which is probably a terrible and very unhealthy thing to do.
But I think also with like, and I hope you don't mind me saying this, but with an illness where you're the fourth oldest person that has it.
Oh God, there's so much pressure.
That is like the pressure, right?
Yeah.
Of like, I need to be doing things. I need to
squeeze as much as I possibly can. Because actually, I'll tell you that when I was younger, and maybe even so now, I used to struggle a lot because when I was 25, 5 years ago, there was another person with Harlequin, who was a mother, by the way, of 2 young kids. She passed away suddenly. And I won't go into details about it, but her passing really made me struggle. It really made me realize that, by the way, she was a very healthy person, she was healthy. There was nothing underlying from what I know. She just passed away. And for me, that was such a struggle because I was like, shit, like, what do I do?
Yeah.
And so I sort of thought, even more so, to try and do as much as I possibly can because remember, just so you know, people with Harlequin historically were not expected to live past a certain age because of the complexities of it. But obviously now technology is getting better and medical is way better. But when you're part of the first generation of survivors, which I am, it was a very real situation. It was a very real sort of like, your days could be numbered. And that is why I have this philosophy of, grabbing everything by the bullhorns and just doing everything that I can, because God only knows how much time we have.
And I think that's the other thing is you're a very grateful person.
I hope I am.
No, practicing like gratitude in action of being grateful for like good times and being able to do things and being there for other people. And I think this kind of comes into like the how do we really cope physically and mentally, because obviously like we don't, I have this, it's obviously not the same situation, but I have this thing in the back of my head, and I've had, I've shared with you, like, I had a doctor tell me that if I wanted to have kids, I should do it sooner rather than later because there's all these complications. Yeah. And I went into like baby crazy mode, being like, I must have a baby right now, which probably shouldn't.
Well,
but like, it's the same thing of just like, this is such a big decision of like my life.
It's a life-changing decision to have a baby.
And to like, for doctors to kind of like coolly just be like, oh, by the way, it's going to have loads of problems. You can like dislocate your back, you should have a baby around. I was like 25 at the time.
Yeah.
And I remember just freaking out a little bit.
Were you, I'm curious because I have a slightly different experience, but like, were you upset when they told you this? Or were you sort of spurred into this whole, oh gosh, this is what I have to do?
I was angry. So I was angry.
Yeah.
And then I was upset. And then I had talked to my ex at the time, and he was just like, he was like, I don't think that doctor knows what they're talking, like, just why are they telling you that? Like, did you say you wanted to have kid? Like, he was just,
like, did you really want to do it?
Not like you really wanted to. He was just like, why are they concerned? Because the thing that upset me was, I had said, I'm not even thinking, like, the doctor just listed all these like things that could happen if I had a baby. This was in Hong Kong.
Okay.
And then his elbow, does your boyfriend want a baby soon? And I was like, you just told me that my back could dislocate if I give birth, so I don't think he. Then I told, and he was just like, why? Like, I was coming in for my life. So, like, this seems like such a inappropriate thing to ask someone who is like in mental distress. So I was very lucky to have a supportive, partner at that time who was just like, that's absolutely, like, this is a bit silly. It wasn't like a big conversation.
No,
it was just like why would they say that to you when you're already really, really distressed?
Yeah.
Like, it seems really silly. It doesn't seem very kind.
Yeah, it's not, I mean, I've, in my experience, I've had slightly funnier experiences, but a little bit more lighthearted.
But just being cautious on time. I think people not being conscious of what they're saying and saying things and not realizing like the amount of like physical and mental stress that you're under as a chronic illness person. I'd love to just chat to you to kind of end this up about cyberbullying and real world disrespectful situations that you've been in.
I can give you plenty of So when I accept that when one has a public platform and you put yourself out there, not everyone's going to be nice. Not everyone's going to give you the time of day. And some people are going to be lovely and some people are going to be absolutely horrible. But I won't lie when I say every time I get a negative message or something that really riles me up, that really pulls me down.
Yeah.
And there have been a couple of incidences where I'm just like, I've had to block and also literally speak to my therapist and also my parents as well, obviously.
So I can relate in a completely different way. I had some like hate comments on my art.
No, did you?
I got some hate.
Their art is amazing, I'm just saying.
So I had some hate comments.
Did I do it correctly?
You did it correctly. So I had something and I was just in a really secure place. It was like, these expats that come into Hong Kong. And I was like, well, one, you fucker, I'm Chinese. And two, but like, at the end of the day, like, it's my art. It's not an attack on me.
It's nobody else's.
But like, that's what I'm saying. It's different. It's like, I felt really personally like, well, I'm just deleted. And I was like, oh, whatever. Like, I'm coming from a place. I'm coming from a place of love. This person's obviously got something on to send that hate to me. But it's a very different thing because it's like, it's not an attack on, it's a bit of an attack on me, but it's not an attack on like my appearance or something that I can't change about myself.
Oh no, see like, for me, it's all about my appearance.
It's all about your appearance, and this is the thing. It's like someone can not like something I produce, and like they're completely valid to have that opinion.
Oh yeah.
But to actually just hate on you for a condition that you did not choose to have. It's like I don't understand. Like, what the fuck?
I think no. So I've obviously had some pretty horrendous situations, and I think you're very aware of one of them that's happened.
Yeah.
And it's number one, you think that, whenever you're cyberbullied, it must be your fault. You must have done something wrong. When it's absolutely not. It's not your fault, but it doesn't stop you from feeling crap.
It's just insecure people trying to push their own insecurities
own agendas,
onto you, and tear you down. They're hiding behind a screen. Like, I come up and tell you stuff to your face.
I know, yeah. And so I'm very. My mechanism for coping with cyberbullying is hopefully getting a little bit better, but I think it's a work in progress.
But this is just the absolute cowardliness of hiding behind a screen or doing a WhatsApp or a phone call
but
to just
also,
tear you down is ridiculous.
No, but also, like, I understand that you might be jealous that Vita and I have, certain privileges or access to things. Guess what? Like, don't get me wrong, I'm incredibly, thankful and grateful to be given some of the opportunities that both you and I have had. But that's because, in some ways, without tooting our own horns, people recognize that we might struggle. People recognize that we don't necessarily have it all together. And people want to do something that might take our mind off the shit show for a bit.
I think this is the thing. I think, like, I presume that the opportunity you're talking about is we're both TEDx speakers now, and like we've also had other different things. We are TEDx speakers. Are we? Are we? Yes, we are. But like, there's different things, but it's not coming from a place of you get this opportunity because you have a condition and you're just like a virtue signal. It's like, there's actually something to say.
Yeah.
There's a message. There's something to say behind the message. I'm not getting the opportunity because I'm non-binary, or I'm not getting the opportunity because I have EDS. It's like, there is something to say with that. There's some kind of action that's gone behind that. There's some kind of speech or story that's been crafted and written. There's work that's gone behind that.
Yes, because when we, for my parents and I, for our family initiative, I am quite often, reminded that we as a family and individually as well, opportunities have come our way because of the work that has been done beforehand. It's
Exactly.
not because we just rock up and say, hey, I've got Harlequin Ichthyosis, or they saying, oh, I have EDS. Give me a TED Talk, It's not about that, because when you...
I wish that was. It'd be amazing. Give me some money. I'm very unwell.
Yeah. Oh, no, that sounds like a GoFundMe.
Oh, my God.
Should we set up a GoFundMe for this?
Please don't set up. I mean, I'm not against GoFundMes. I personally think I don't need one right now.
I've got my opinions about
I'm
that.
okay.
Yeah. But I think that Vita and I have both done work, me maybe to a lesser extent, about the struggles and about the lifestyle that we've got. Again, it wasn't just handed to us on a plate. A lot of people, and this is why I think sometimes, I'm going back to the cyberbullying here, people don't know what goes on behind the scenes. They just see something online, they see it on Instagram, they see it on the Facebook, and they're like, oh, this person must be privileged because they have this.
Never say it to your face. The things I have seen you go through is people... I think it's a common sense issue. It's a common sense, and it's foremost, it's a disrespect. I think it's really important that you need to respect the woman kind of coming up to you and being like, ugh, in your face when we were in Singapore the other day, like with the kids.
Oh yeah.
You don't actually I just lady, I'm really sorry, but it's really, really, really disrespectful.
It is.
If you
but,
treat others it's from the Bible or from any holy text. Treat others as you'd like to be treated yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, would you like if someone went up to you and went, oh, like
what the hell happened to you?
Yeah, it's just not. It's not nice.
No, it's not nice. It's not nice, but I have had to come to the realization that, unfortunately, shit like that's going to happen, and we can't control it. And some people, you know what? They're curious. It just comes out in an absolutely tragically bad way.
So I think this leads on really well to our last question, which is what can you practically do to support someone with a physical, be it visible or invisible, disability?
So we were just talking about this before we did the podcast. Mm-hmm. I think one of the, and this is something that I think we all need to know, that when you want to offer help to somebody, don't just jump in and assume that you know what they want. It would actually help if you went up to the person. So if I say, hey, Vita, I can see that you're in a lot of pain. Do you want me to do...
From my face.
Do you want a delivery, or can I go shopping for you or something so that you can stay at home and rest?
Yeah, rather
than just doing it and then turning up at their door.
I think the question is, what can I do, if anything, to help?
Ask.
And ask. And I know sometimes it's a bit awkward because you don't want to accept help, but just kind of being like, look, if you ever need a hand with anything, just let me know. It's not a burden. I'd really appreciate doing it.
But also hold that space.
Hold the space.
Because I think in the chronic illness community, holding space is the biggest gift you can give, actually, to be honest. Because I think some people are very reluctant. I'm quite reluctant to, accept help. Mm-hmm. And I just think hold that space forever, how long it will be. If I need help and I feel comfortable asking, then I will ask. I would hate it if someone came up to me and said, hey, you need help? What do you need? I need that space to be able to say, to feel comfortable asking.
I think it's about creating that friendship and creating that dialogue, which is like, hey, if you ever need anything, just let me know.
Yes.
I
struggle with that.
It's difficult.
Yeah.
But I think the big thing that I would say is just be respectful.
Yes.
Don't make a joke. I'm no longer friends with this person. They told me I had a low quality of life. And I was like,
ouch.
I was like, bitch, you fucking are a fucking English teacher at a fucking education center talks to me about low quality of life. I'm probably gonna get hate for that.
Oh well.
Haters gonna hate. Haters gonna hate. And it's like, enjoy your
life.
enjoy your life with that shitty worldview. But I think it's the thing. It's just like, you know, and people,
I've had that. I've had the whole low quality of life thing thrown at me.
Yeah,
and it's quite actually, you know, in some ways, yes, it's demeaning. Yes, it's horrible. But doesn't it spur you on a bit to sort of prove them wrong? For me, it does.
Yeah, I see that. I think it's just coming at things with respect, and people, it's a joke, it's a this, it's a that, and it's like, well, it doesn't matter what the intention was. Yeah. The actuality is you've said something that's actually extremely hurtful. So at least, like, you know, I say jokes, and sometimes, you know, we have to put up with a lot. With my sense of humor, I say things that sometimes is completely inappropriate, and people will say to me like, you really shouldn't have said that. And I say, I'm really, really sorry I said that. It was not my intention. Yeah. Let's clear it up.
Yeah.
And it's just, I think the core thing is authenticity.
Yes, and I think, you know, the important thing
is self-reflection. Finish off.
And finishing this off, I think that it's just important to have mutual respect, because you don't want to be, you know, making the same comments you would to a close friend to like someone you've just met, for example. Well, I have done silly things in my lifetime, but you know what I mean, right? It's like I would be comfortable saying stuff to you that I wouldn't feel comfortable saying to somebody else.
For sure. So, as we end off, I have the last question.
And
are we functioning highly?
Are we functioning highly?
Are we?
Possibly.
How do you feel like you're functioning with your Harlequin? Do you think you're functioning highly? I think you're functioning. You sound like you're functioning very highly. You sound like you're in a good place. What is there to work on?
I'll let you know afterwards. How about you? Are you functioning highly?
I feel like I'm a very highly functioning person with EDS right now. I feel like I'm in the best point since I've been through my diagnosis. I feel like I've got my little routine and my little rhythm.
Yeah.
So I will give myself a stamp of, yes, I am functioning highly. For today, just for today. Tomorrow when I dislocate another point in my body, different story, but just for today, I'm functioning highly.
I'm functioning quite well, and it's a work in progress every day.
It's a work in progress. It's progress, not perfection.
Progress.
All right.
Right.
Thank you for listening. Bye!